students, I hope everyone is fine. Today we will be learning on the topic I am Colin. The following extract is taken from the classic novel The Sacred Garden. Okay, let me give a brief introduction on this chapter. Mary Lennox, she was born in India. She was living with her wealthy family, but so sad. Her parents died due to cholera outbreak and there is no one to look after her. So she went to Yorkshire, England to live with her uncle. And her maid means a female domestic servant, tells her about the sacred garden which was locked for 10 years ago. Mary was so much fascinated with the garden and she wanted to find the garden key as well. So let's see what are the things that Mary had encountered while she was staying with her uncle's house. So one night while Mary was sleeping at night, a strong wind came and the heavy rain drops started beating against her window. Okay, by that sound, okay, so she was totally disturbed and now she couldn't sleep. Okay, she woke up and she sat on her bed and now she's getting angry. Okay, she wanted to sleep but she couldn't sleep. She even took the pillow, okay, and she covered her face and she tried to sleep but she couldn't sleep. Okay, she had been lying awake, turning from side to side for about an hour, when suddenly, okay, she turned her head toward the door. She heard a sound of crying. After hearing that sound, okay, she said, this is not the sound of the wind. I think someone is crying. So she really wanted to go and see who is crying and she really wanted to know from where the sound is coming. So there was a candle, okay, beside her bed. So she took the candle and she went out from her room. And she saw a very long corridor, okay, and it's too dark. So what happened? She tried to remember, okay, the short way to reach the tapestry door, okay. So what happened? She followed all the steps, okay, and after following all the steps, okay, turning left, and then she turned the right side and she took some few steps, and that is how, at the end, she reached the tapestry. Opened the door very gently and she entered the tapestry door. On the other side of the wall, at her left, there was a door. She could see a glimmer of light coming from beneath it. So she walked to the door, and as she entered, she saw a large room with an ancient, handsome furniture in it. And the boy was lying on the bed, crying anxiously. Mary stood near the door, holding the candle in her hand, and as she drew nearer, the light of the candle attracted the boy's attention. And the boy, he said to Mary, "Who are you? Are you a ghost?" Mary said, "No, I'm not a ghost." And then their conversation started from there. Mary asked to that boy, "Are you one?" And the boy replied, "No, I am Colin." Mary wanted to know more about him, so she said, "Who is Colin?" And the boy said, "I am Colin Craven." And he asked, "Who are you?" And she said, "I am Mary Lennox. Mr. Craven is my uncle." And the boy said, "Mr. Craven is my father." Mary got surprised and she asked, "Mr. Craven is your father?" Mary said, "No one ever told me you were in this house." And the boy, he asked to Mary, "Where did you come from?" Mary said, "From my own room. Due to the sound of strong wind, I couldn't sleep." Mary said, "I heard someone crying and I was too excited to find out who it was." And she asked to Colin, "But what were you crying for?" And the boy, he said, "Because of headache and either I couldn't sleep, that is why I was crying." And no one ever told Colin that Mary had come to live there. Mary was so confused and feel pity on Colin because Colin was always ill and he nearly always stay in room. Yeah, sometimes they used to take Colin at the seaside, but Colin he don't like when people stare at him. He had fresh air and that is why he don't want to go out. Mary said to Colin, if you don't like people staring at you, then do you want me to go away? And Colin said, no. He said, I would be sure you were a dream if you went. If you are real, sit down here and talk. I want to hear about you. Mary sat down on a big footstool by the bed. While they were asking the age, Mary mentioned about the sacred garden, and Colin got shocked. And he asked to Mary about the sacred garden, like, what garden door was locked? Who did it? Where was the key buried? And Mary said, I think they have been told not to answer questions, and no one is allowed to go into that garden for 10 years. Colin was so excited to visit the sacred garden. He said, I want to see that garden. I will make them take me there in my chair to get fresh air. I'm going to make them open the door. Mary said, no. If you let them to open, then it won't be sacred again. And Colin he asked the questions about why it is sacred. Colin he said, I never had a secret. I only gave my illness a secret, but I like yours better. Then Mary she explained everything about that garden, why it is sacred. She shared everything to Colin. Therefore, they unite and made a big concordance to enter into the garden, and that is how they help each other and made the garden alive by taking care of it and brought transformations unto their life. This story was written by F.H Burnett. I believe you have learned something on the topic I am calling through this short video. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.